Whatever field you're in, you need to know that field in order to do things differently in that field. Because the name of the game for you should be lead the field. And you can't lead nothing or anything that you have no knowledge of. So in order to lead the field, you got to have knowledge of the field. In addition, you must be bold. You must be courageous. Because in order to lead the field, you're going to have to do things differently. You cannot follow others and then become superior to them by following their every move. No, it don't work like that. If you follow a failure, you will be led to failure yourself, because a failure can only lead you to failure. In order to arrive at success, you have to follow successful people. But to lead the field of successful people and or businesses, you have to do something different from the other successful people or business owners. Because you all can be successful in your various businesses in a particular field. But in order to lead that field, whereby you have a lot of successful people and or businesses, you got to be different. You got to be unique. And there are a lot of successful herbalists, but they don't lead the field because they're not unique. See, it is uniqueness, being different, that attracts people to us. Because in a sense or way, we become exotic or eccentric. And you know that which is exotic and that which is eccentric has attracting power. You got to be different. You cannot get in a field whereby the other business owners and their businesses are just getting by. You cannot follow them and expect to be different from them or to get a different outcome. If you follow their model, you will end up with the same results of those people. You will end up with the same results of those businesses. You got to be different, man. You have to be unique in order to lead the field. You cannot follow people. You're going to set up a new pizzeria and you have all of this competition. How are you going to lead the field? You got Shakey's and Pizza Hut and Domino's and Little Caesar. How are you going to lead the field? You got to do something different from what all of the other businesses are doing. You got to do something different. Now, in order to do something different, you have to think different or think differently. And in order to do that, you have to be creative. See, the people who lead the field are creative individuals. That's really who runs society. Those who are creative, they are creating. Now you can say, well, we all create. Yes, but they create uniquely. They create uniquely. So they end up leading the field. There's a lot of creative people out there. But then you just have individuals who are simply more creative and or unique in their creativity. So they end up as leaders. They end up as leaders. You cannot follow a so-called failure and end up at success. Now, there is an exception to the rule here. The only way you can follow a failure, a so-called failure, and end up at success is if you study the failure, where the failure is going wrong, and do things differently. You see, we keep going back to being different, unique, doing things differently. So that's the only way you could follow a failure and end up at success. Because whether you know it or not, failure is nothing but success inverted. Many successful people arrived at success by way of failure. A lot of your scientists, they failed numerous times before they succeeded. They didn't give up. They didn't embrace defeat. They kept studying their failure. How is it that I keep going wrong? What am I doing wrong? I'm not doing something right. What is it? And they keep thinking. Gotta think. And I'm always promoting thinking. Very important, especially in today's climate. You gotta be a thinker, especially if you're gonna be different, be unique. You gotta think differently. In order to do things differently, you have to think differently. Everything about you has to be different. Different attitude, different insight, just different. Different is not a bad thing at all. At all. I pride myself on being different. Being different. In order to lead the field, people, you gotta do things differently. You cannot follow everybody else and expect to end up someplace different than those whom you are following. That's a form of insanity. You're going to follow these people over here, and they're struggling. And then you think that you're going to be successful. You know, people ask me all the time, you know, Djehuty, I want to go into business. You know, how do I do it? What should I do? Man, the first thing you got to have is a business plan. Because even with a business plan, the maximum of planning and the failure to plan applies to business planning. He who fails to plan has planned to fail. So, you know, you're going to business without a business plan. You set yourself up to fail. Because you got to have a plan. Because, see, a plan is next to a goal. And see, goals are very important in life, including business life. Because goals help us to aim for things. And if you don't have anything to aim for, then you won't aim at all. I know, that's another video. How to get started. You got to have a business plan. You got to have goals for your business. Even though the business doesn't exist in tangible form, the business exists here. So your business plan starts in here. And then you type it and put it on paper. And if you are seeking investors, now you have something to give to these people, to give them an idea of what they are investing in, and more importantly, why they should invest in you and or your business idea. I learned so much about business without ever going to business school. It's crazy. And I have so many friends who went to college and they're stuck working for other people because they didn't learn how to go into business for yourself. It's easier to learn how to go into business for yourself rather than to go to college. There are certain people who come across thousands of dollars, they'll give it away to an institution rather than take that money and start a business. You can start a business with $5,000, 10,000. I mean, 25,000 is really a great number, and really depending on the type of business or the kind of business, whether it's brick or mortar or online. So if you got 5, 10, $25,000 at your disposal, and you're gonna start an online business, that's the way to go, because you cut the overhead, you cut the overhead expenses. See, a lot of brick and mortar businesses have a rough time because they have so much overhead. They got the building, then they got the utilities, and it's just a lot that comes with it. You know, the government really doesn't give a break because you got to pay state taxes, federal taxes. You get employees. Well, you don't even have to get employees nowadays. You are the employee. The law says if you have one person as an employee, and that could be you as the entrepreneur, you have to pay workers' compensation. I mean, the government just really gives no love. You know, it's just you starting your business and you got to have workers' compensation. It's crazy, but it's a lot of things you got to look out for, man, with the brick and mortar business. Now, some people actually have enough money to get a brick and mortar business off the ground. I did some radical with dhealthstore.com with a brick and mortar business. However, with the brick and mortar business, I'm doing more business online than I've ever done before, thanks to the brick and mortar business, because I operate online through the brick and mortar. I mean, brick and mortar is pretty much the equivalent of a home-based business. I mean, you got to house the business somewhere. Now, if it's online and you're just selling wares or retail products, you don't really need no rented space for that. You can do that out of your home or move into a house or an apartment with an extra room or two, one for an office and one for a warehouse. And you're good to go. You can't beat that. And I know starting a home-based business and or a home-based online business is another topic in and of itself. You can't beat that. It's like here in Cali, you know, it's cold out there. And I can hear all of the people in this complex walking to the driveway because they have to get in their cars and go to work. And it's cold, they got to deal with traffic. Now, even though I don't conduct business out of here, but if I was at home, I'd wake up, do me, and that's all my spiritual stuff. And then I would get to work. Right there in the house, it's warm, the heat is on. You know, my wife is there, children. It's a beautiful ambience. I don't have to go nowhere unless I'm going to the store. But the store's only a few minutes from my house. So you can't beat working for yourself, you know, as opposed to working for somebody else and you have to travel 15, 30, 45 miles or even minutes to get to work. You could just wake up and do you, take your shower and balance your chakras and anti-gravity exercises, and then get to work. The home-based business is the way to go. To take a break anytime you want to, take lunch anytime you want to, and lunch really doesn't exist when you're working for yourself and or doing things that you love to do. You're not thinking about a lunch break. You know, you'll eat something and may, you know, take 10, 15, 20 minutes and you right back to work. You don't need the whole hour. Now, when you're working a job that you really don't like, you know, chances are you taking that whole hour, that whole 45 minutes, or that whole 30 minutes. And understandably so. But not the case when you're doing your own business. And I know this topic deserves its own video because we are talking about leading the field, being different. I had to go there though. I have so much to share about business. It's so easy to start your own business as compared to working for someone else. Unless that someone else happens to be a people person, a spiritualpreneur. Because it is true that other people work for myself and my wife and our business. But our energy is extended to the people. So we have people who don't mind being there. We have people who have in the past been there every day, even when they weren't being paid. We've had people who spent the night at the business. I mean, because the energy, the feeling was just so awesome. Yeah, I mean, spent the night, overnight. Just they wanted to be there. I know because I did it. It was just a great energy. So people don't mind working for people that have that type of energy whereby it's extended. They don't mind because, their role is to be a part of it. They may not necessarily be the entrepreneur. They don't want to deal with the responsibilities that come from operating a business. And that's very understandable. Their whole thing is, I'm not into business and taxes and government. I like to do graphic arts. I love the business, and my heart is in designing, and I want to design for this business. That's what I want to do. And they get a joy from that. And especially if they are receiving a fair or just compensation for their work. And it's even better if they're paid above and beyond their duty. No problems. No problems at all with these people. They love to be there. They will come in on their off day. They will volunteer. They love it. And that's beautiful. And I had to create that for myself in order to experience this. Now, my last corporate job was my best corporate job, but it cannot compare to D Health Store. Not at all. Because at D Health Store, I was really forced to be there every day. New business, I had to be there every day. Now, when I was at the former business, I wasn't over there. See, it's very important when you have a certain energy that you are around certain people to invect your energy on to others. Because there's nothing wrong with infectious energy that's positive. That's a plus. So at D Health Store, I'm there. And, we have fun. I like to see Tamara laughing and just being playful and jolly. It's beautiful. Her smile. She's a very beautiful, very attractive woman. I love to see Anoush smile. Her eyes glitter and sparkle after we talk about the weekly profits or look at the weekly profit and loss sheet. I like chopping up with Gump, Corey, Todd. I like my discourses with Satori. I enjoy it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You have a team of people together, working together towards a common goal. It's beautiful. I love being in Rona's energy. Such a beautiful soul. And all of that energy is under one roof, constituting a grid of positive energy that people can walk in that store and feel. It's beautiful. When all of the employees, the workers, the co-creators are happy. Every last one of them. Because all it takes is one sour apple to destroy the morale of the business. But when everybody's happy, you're going to feel that energy. I know we're talking about leading the field, but this is part of leading the field. This is why Google and Yahoo and the rest of these corporations that have taken over, those involved in technology or the internet, they've taken over because they've created workplaces whereby the majority of the employees are happy. We're talking Facebook and Yahoo and Google. I mean, they're doing the most, and I do plan to borrow from them the things that I like. I think it's great for employees to be able to get a massage on the job and get their toes done. And some of the companies, the employees get to, they get to use roller skates. They roller skating around the office. They got little slides. I mean, it's like a playground atmosphere. They remove that old paradigm of the corporate office or structure where it was rigid and cubicles. They remove that. See, these individuals are unique. They did things differently. And that's why I love studying the history of Facebook and Google and Apple and Microsoft. Studying those histories inspire me. It's inspirational. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, I started off in a little small apartment in Glendale. It ended up with a 5,500 square foot office and warehouse facility. Left that, just like the creator of JetBlue Airlines left it and started another airline. I left the 5,500 square foot facility and business to do another business using the same model but doing things differently, and blew it up in just over a year. Doing things differently. Now I'm going to use what works, but I'm not going to limit myself to doing things in the same fashion as I did before. I cannot limit myself. I can use certain things, but I can't stop there. I got to do some things differently because I want a different outcome from the last go around. In order to lead the field, you just got to be different, man. You got to think differently. Your actions must be different. You can't limit yourself. You have to embrace the concept of infinite possibility. Infinite. Actually, infinite possibilities. You must embrace that. Business doesn't have to be dog eat dog or swimming with the sharks. Doesn't have to be. I watch a television show periodically called Shark Tank. And I was told about Shark Tank from my friend Otis. And as I began to watch Shark Tank, I began to learn more about business, especially about the entrepreneur. It's like when I was in law and how I learned from Judge Judy. I never wanted a judge to tell me, shut up, be quiet, don't speak. I can't handle that. It's my nature. I'm free. Nobody controls me. So I had to learn that in order to be free, I had to control myself. If not, somebody else was going to control me. So in a courtroom, if I couldn't control myself, the judge would control me. Like everybody else. Shut up. Don't talk. It is not your turn. You will get your turn. Be quiet. I'm not a little boy. You don't talk to me like that. But to prevent a judge from talking to me like that was my responsibility to check myself. If I didn't want a judge talking to me like a Judge Judy when she talked to certain people, and in most cases, they needed it. Judy was good at checking people. But because I didn't want that, I had to learn to check myself. Why does Judge Judy check certain people? Because they're out of control. They're talking or speaking when it is not their turn or time to speak. And it causes discord and chaos. Two people cannot speak at the same time and be heard. That is not effective communication. Communication, especially effective communication, is 90% listening. And I was able to utilize that last year in court. Normally, I would object while the other interested party would be speaking. But then I learned to just chill. And even though a person could be saying a whole bunch of stuff that was just straight fibs, I would check myself. And instead of saying objection, objection, And I mean, and sometimes there is a place for that, especially in a criminal, proceeding. But I learned to check myself and just listen to the. I just listened. Damn, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. And I'm using my mind. Sometimes I got a pen and pad. I'm taking notes. And then when the judge says, "Okay, it's your turn," all right. Now I have these mental notes or I have these written notes. So I can start off by saying, first and foremost, before I get into my testimony, I need to object to everything this other interested party said or to some particular thing the other interested party said. And the judge says, okay, noted. No need to cause chaos, ruckus, be contemptuous. No need for that. Self-regulation. There is no individual freedom without self-regulation. Now, we are regulated as a people because we don't regulate ourselves. We don't regulate ourselves. We get mad and say, well, I ain't going to do such and such. But you got a contract. Well, I'm mad at you. I ain't going to do it. So that's where the court comes into play at. That type of attitude created the court. It did. Well, I don't like you. You don't like me no more. You send some other dude. I ain't paying child support. Now, it's my responsibility, but I ain't going to do it because I'm mad. I'm emotional now. I'm going to let emotion override logic or reason. That created the family court or the child support system. They're actually one and the same. But that's what created it. Because you're immature, irresponsible, unaccountable. You're all of these negative attributes. And that created the magistrate or the judge. It created the police officer, the sheriff, the marshal. It created the court system, the child support system, the restraining order process. People created that because people are not self-regulated. Will you leave me alone? Okay, that's all I need to hear. It's like no means no. Okay. So somebody tell you, leave them alone. I ain't gonna leave you alone. You're not being self-regulated. So they have to seek a power over and beyond you. Physical power, that is. And now you're at the mercy of someone else. Because, see, you use your power over someone, and, men do that a lot, over women, and women do it in different respects pertaining to men. But mostly it's men. They ain't doing nothing. I'm going to beat you up or what have you. And then the police come on the scene. And then the person who's doing the bitching becomes the bitch when the police come on the scene. See, it's all power. So when somebody feels powerless, they're going to call someone or something more powerful than you. And when they come on the scene, you're going to feel powerless. See, so if you want to feel powerful, then you don't make others feel powerless. You help to empower others. And then you become the ultimate power because you don't have run-ins with the court system, the police, or the legal system, what have you. So you stay powerful. You become and you stay powerful. See, it's all up here, man. There's a lot of people who say, man, you think too much, man. That's man, you don't watch TV? You don't do that? I had a guy come into the store last week and he said, Djehuty, you don't do anything bad? Why? You don't smoke or drink, or eat certain food, fried foods, cooked foods, fast food. I think he said fast food. You don't a burger? I was like, no. And he was messed up. He was like, wow, you're so content. You're just content. It's like, yeah. I mean, you can do all the things you're doing and be content. Just like I'm content. But when you entertain in the back of your mind that what you're doing is wrong or may be wrong, you ain't going to be content. You're not. I see it all the time. All the time. And that's why I don't really like to have dinner dates or business dates or meetings with individuals who partake of animal flesh and animal excreta. because they don't feel comfortable. Like we can go to a restaurant and I can order a salad and I can bring my Herbamere and my own vegan dressing. And then they can order shrimp and steak and just all the stuff that they eat. But because they're sitting in front of you, they indict themselves. They don't really enjoy their food. Yeah, I know I shouldn't be eating this. I cut back on red meat. Why? I didn't ask you about that. We're not talking about diet. Why are you talking about diet? Because they feel guilty. See, nobody can make me feel guilty about my diet because my diet works for me. It's my diet. I get asked all the time, Tootie, what is your diet? My diet is my diet. That's what helps to keep me alive and living. So in essence, my diet becomes a live it, a true live it. It really does. And I'm at peace. Have you lost weight? Nope. Been skinny my entire life for 27 years and even consuming animal products, animal flesh and animal excreta for 27 years, I was still skinny. So it had no bearing on me like it does some other people, because I do hear from people who have weight on them and then they become vegan or raw foods and they quote unquote release weight. No, I do hear that. Now, my family, my brother's sister, parents, we always had a fast metabolism. So I never had any problems with eating. Like my sister was petite, but now she's over 200 something pounds, which is, I can't even look at her. It just affects me because my sister was very petite. And now she's boom, but it was really the steroids the doctor put her on. But nevertheless, my family, we're lean people. And to see people just blow up now, I know it's the diet. I know it's all the things that I talk about pertaining to health. I know that. My cousin's like, damn, cuz. I mean, just, you was fine back in the day. You was petite and just curvaceous. And look at you just rotund. You just like it's a big fat dookie ball, man. Like, what happened? What happened to you? You all fat in the face. Your face was all rounded. What happened to you? I know it was the world. I know it was life. But man, my cousins, bodybuilders. Most of the men in my family, they were bodybuilders in the late 80s, early 90s. And you look at them now, because they don't lift weights anymore, it just turned to flab. Like, damn, cuz you a big dude, man. And he's just carrying weight. That's why I tell people, if you're going to lift weights, man, it has to be a way of life. Because when you stop, it turns to flab. So when you're working out, women, and you get that little curvaceous backside, and then you let it go, you stop exercising, stop working out, it turns to flab. You end up with a flab booty. You gotta keep it going if that's your thing. It's a trip, that a lot of bodybuilders and gym goers come to a cat such as myself, a skinny cat, for help about, nutrition, because, a lot of these cats that come across my articles and my videos, and they realize that, working out is not necessarily health just because you go to the gym. Even like my brother was a hell of a bodybuilder. I mean, my brother won every contest he was in. And I look at my brother as like, I mean, he was just really dedicated. I mean, he started off small too, but I remember in South Central, he started lifting poles and cement bricks because, we couldn't afford weights. But I saw my brother and how he used his mind, to compensate. He didn't take no for an answer. My brother used to lift metal barrels. And then he started lifting iron poles. And then slabs of cement, bricks. I saw him do this in South Central. So, it was no wonder for me that, when we started coming into some money, he actually purchased all of his gym equipment and he converted my mother's garage into a gym, a nice gym. And he blew up. And you knew he was into it because You could look at the old pictures and then you look at the new pictures, and you know, he became a bodybuilder, and he began to perform, and he won all of his contests. You know, and we were proud of Mike. You know, it was worldly, and he was doing certain things that I learned were detrimental. But you know, we were proud of Mike. He was doing some things, bringing home 6 feet tall trophies, and was making a name for himself. You know, became a model. You know, my little brother was doing it. But I do remember going to my mother's house and seeing my little brother, and his nose would be running. He would be constipated. You know, it was just a lot of health problems. And I was a baby in health, but even the things that I knew back then, I was able to see some things that my little brother was doing wrong. My brother would have a big bowl of egg whites. He would make this dish with broccoli and egg whites, you know, because he was into the protein thing. He would take um, beef liver juice tablets. It was freeze dried. He was taking freeze dried ox or a beef liver. And I remember one day he showed it to me, and I was like, "Man, you taking something from an animal, bro. You don't have to do this." And I remember when he was sick for a few days, and it's like, man, your immune system is shot, man. You're not getting nutrients, man. You working out, but you're not getting nutrients, you know? I mean, because it takes a lot of energy, man, to do, you know, what these bodybuilders do. My brother was a bodybuilder, a professional bodybuilder. And, you know, he exerted a lot of energy. And, you know, like Bruce Lee and other people, they didn't know any better, so they were taking synthetic vitamins. You know, they thought they were doing the right thing. But when I came on the scene in the late 90s, it would have taken those fellas, my brother, Saheed, and the rest of them, it would have taken them to a whole different level. And that's what Sister Shamaka and myself are about to do right now with Mumio, Shilajit, Turkey Tail, Lion's Mane, all of these wonderful products. Many of them are fungi or mushrooms, and then most are herbs. A lot of them are aphrodisiacs and anabolic in nature. You know, they are steroidal in nature. Tongat Ali, um, horny goat weed, maca, black maca, red maca, yellow maca, and the various aphrodisiac herbs. We're putting them together, the adaptogens, the energizers, the aphrodisiacs. We're putting them all together, and we're creating more sports fitness products. You know, like right now, my biggest seller is Biception. You know, I have dudes just, you know, they come to the store, you know, man, I work out, man, you know, but I'm a vegan. I turn vegan, you know, but, you know, I want the muscle mass, you know, and I put them on the bioprotein and the Biception, and they love it. They love it. It's a lot of health conscious people that are now into bodybuilding and gym going. And they're vegan, and you know, and they want to be physically fit, you know, or curved up, or you know, for whatever reason. I don't ask people why they do what they do, nor do I really care. I'm just there to serve people. I'm there to serve them like I serve the average person. I have people who come in who work in corporate America. You know, they don't work out, do anything. They want help. I have law enforcement officials who come in. All type of people come in, and I'm simply there to just help people. So when people come in and say, you know, man, I'm into bodybuilding, man, and I want to put some size on me, man, and you know, I want to do this and do that, but I want to do it naturally to it. And I respect these people because see, GNC makes a fortune, man, selling crap. You know, soy protein, whey protein. Whey is a waste product, man, irradiated waste from the dairy industry. And they sell it big old tubs. And the trip thing about it, I can see if they were selling the tubs for $4, $5, $10. Man, they're selling these big tubs of whey protein for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80. And cats are purchasing this stuff. And they sell like herbs, standardized ginseng, and you know, you'll find like yohimbe or yohimbine, the major alkaloid in yohimbe. Tongat Ali is big. Tribulus or Tribulus terrestris, aka Gokshura, that's big. Bee pollen, royal jelly. So it's certain things that we know about in herbology that you can find in the commercial so-called health stores like GNC, Vitacost, Vitamin Shop, what have you. But this stuff is synthetic. It's crap. Just because it has a few herbs in it, it's still crap because they're mixing inorganic substances with organic substances. And I'm reading the label of certain products, certain formulas. I'm like, yo, this is crap, man. Look, this is gelatin, and man, I got silica, pharmaceutical glaze, which is from an insect. This is crap, man. This is you know sand. When you start dealing with silica and silicone from um, inorganic sources, in most cases, that's sand. They use sand to make that. And it's like, come on, gee. Sometimes they take like quartz crystals and pulverize it. And they use that, because it is known as silica. So, you got to really do your research because if not, man, these people have you taking a whole bunch of stuff that you have no business taking. People be taking pancreatin. I'm like, do you know what you're taking? You're taking the enzymes, man, from an animal. Ox bile. Like, come on, gee. Creatine. Oh, man, did you do the research on that? Man, this is from pig brain, man. Pig muscle tissue. We do some crazy things. We'll eat muscle to develop muscle. And you don't have to do that. Because they got some animals in the wild that's just real big and muscular. And they don't eat muscle, like the gorilla. And the elephant, man, and the horse. Now the horse, man, the way the horse is built, the horses, man, probably has the nicest build of any animal in the wild. I guess you got to really sit down and take some time to look at all the animals. But when I look at a horse, I'm like, that's a well structured animal there. It just looks strong and vibrant. And then you see a horse running, man. They run with grace. And they got strong legs and strong bones, and they don't drink no milk. And they tell the humans you got to drink milk for strong bones. It's crazy. But anyway, we're just doing a lot of things that, we really have no business doing. We're consuming so much in the name of sports fitness, sports nutrition. It's just really toxic to the human body. It really is. I used to do my research in the health stores. If I had to say I went to school, it would be the commercial health stores. And when Whole Foods Market here in Glendale was on Glen Oaks, they had no problems with me coming in, not purchasing anything. And I used to purchase all the time, but sometimes I would come in with just a notepad and pen and be taking notes, ingredients of certain things. I would go to the regular commercial, a super casket, Vons, Ralph's, pen and pad, taking notes. All the stuff I used to eat, like Lay's potato chips and Gatorade. And I would go home and research this stuff. And I didn't have internet. This is the 90s, So I had books galore. I still got all the books. So I didn't have to get online. Didn't have online. I went to the book and I have books on ingredients so I can look up all the various ingredients and be like, wow, this is wow, my good, this is what they're using. And it would just be mind boggling. No armchair researching, just straight old school research. And I learned a lot. And I would have to say my greatest school was Great Earth here on Brand Boulevard in Glendale. And those people, it's still owned by some Koreans, and they were so cool. And I would buy things, I would buy things that I could consume, things that I did know were not harmful to me. And I spent a lot of money there, and I brought a lot of people there. I would get a lot of tea, boxed tea from them. And sometimes I didn't really need anything, but I would always, buy something to let them know that, look, I'm appreciative of you allowing me to come in here and research. And I learned so much. Studying labels and, looking at their herbal formulas and like, why do you guys use magnesium stearate? Magnesium stearate, where's this from? Stearate. Oh, you changed the E to an A. Because if I see Steer, steer, I'm going to think of an animal. So, the play on words, it's a trip, what they do, umbrella terms, and it's fun because it's a maze, and they got me. I took pancreatin one time, from a horse. um, a whole bunch of stuff, man, that was, from insects or animals, because, the company was just successful in masking the true nature of what the ingredient was. And even when I got into herbology, when I got into TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, I learned that I had to be careful because they use snake skin and, and frogs and grasshoppers and beetles. And it's like, whoa, man. And I'm not knocking TCM because that's their stuff, but for me, it's like I'm good. I'm good. As someone who embraces the vegan diet, my limit is the bee products for people who consume honey and royal jelly. I mean, I stop there because it's now if it was powdered bees, then I would have a problem. But people say, Tootie, I like honey, and people get mad at me and just they just go off because they like their honey products, their bee products, and I'm like, okay, I mean that's my limit right there. But if you was consuming powdered bees and killing bees to eat them, we would have a problem. We would have a problem, but to make an insect an animal is just, I'm not one who um, buy into that argument. But anyway, I know, lead the field, But let me tell you, that's why I lead the field because the knowledge that I have, okay, pertaining to the field that I'm into health, I'm into biology, I'm into herbology or herbalism. So you got to have information. Like I was telling my little partner who he thinks that having a brand is just gonna make him successful, make him famous. And I'm like, no, G, it's not a brand. It's information. I will crush your brand with my information. Simple as that. You got to make sure that you got a qualitative product. So if it is exposed, then the outcome is going to be positive. We research all the ingredients in this particular product, and it's the best on the market. It's all natural. It's plant derived. There are no oxides or inorganic elements in it. We found nothing wrong with it. That's going to beat your brand. He thinks because he has a nice brand or could have a nice brand that even if he wanted to sell crap products, he would still be successful. Why? Because Herbalife is a brand, but they're selling crap and they're successful. Herbalife is only successful because Tootie Matra and dhealthstore.com is not on that level yet. Because when we get on that level, then it's exposure time, and then it's a wrap. It's a wrap. But everything in due time. But I guess time is due. Time to lead the field, people. It is time to lead the field. Your particular field. I'm saying lead the field, but your particular field. Maybe you're into candles. Maybe you're into herbs. Um, you know, maybe you're into yoga, essential oils. You into something. It has a field, and it is time to lead the field. What time is it? Yes, that's right. Time to lead the field.